What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is part of a series where I'm ranking Academy Award Best Picture nominees by certain years. Done such years in the past such as the 1990s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, and I'm currently working my way through the 1980s. I've done 1980, 81, 82, and you clicked on this video, so you know at this time around I'm ranking the 1983 Academy Award Best Picture nominees from worst to best. Now, there were 5 Best Picture nominees this year, so I'll be ranking it from 5 being the worst to 1 being the best, and of course, my humble opinion. And as always, I'm looking forward to seeing your ranking down below because it will differ from mine, and that's what's great about film. It is subjective, so I'm very much so looking forward to seeing your ranking. But guys, enough exposition. Let's get started. So kicking these off, my number 5, this is the one that I actually really wasn't a fan of and was quite disappointed by. My number 5 is The Dresser. This is a snooze fest of a movie. I would not recommend watching this movie at all unless you're like myself and trying to watch all of the 1980s Academy Award Best Picture nominees. Besides that, I would avoid it at all costs. It's very, very dry in terms of the dialogue. The acting is good for sure, no question about that. But this is just one of those movies where the directing, the pacing, editing, just everything was just such a snooze fest. And yeah, that's why The Dresser for me is my number 5. Next up, my number 4, this is going to anger quite a few people, I am sure, and if you had asked me 9 years ago, I myself would have also been angry. But my number 4, we have Terms of Endearment. So this is a movie that I saw around 9 years ago, because around 9 years ago, my goal was to watch every Academy Award Best Picture winner. Now, of course, I fulfilled that goal years ago, but now I'm trying to watch all the Academy Award Best Picture nominees. So when I watched Terms of Endearment in 2015, I really liked it. I found it to be quite effective. But at the same time, doing this ranking, I was like, you know what? I should probably rewatch it because it's been so long. And I'm glad that I did because I didn't like it as much. Yes, it's well acted. And yes, some elements of it do work as a tearjerker. But rewatching it, it does feel quite manipulative and not in like a good way. It feels way too melodramatic for my liking. Again, it is well acted. I do want to really emphasize that. The performances are quite good, but I just found myself really uninterested in terms of the directing. I just think that on second viewing, it really doesn't hold up. Now, again, this won Best Picture in 1983. So clearly during this time period, a lot of people loved this film. And if you look it up online, a lot of people do love this film. And I can 100% totally respect that because, again, I felt that way at some point in time. So it's not like one of those films where I'm like, I hate this movie. No, I think it's okay on rewatch, but it's one of those things where I just kind of feel, now. But again, I can see the appeal, and yeah, that's why it's my number 4. Next up, my number 3, we have The Big Chill. So this is a slice of life, melancholy feel film that I found to be, whilst not consistently engaging, I still found it to be interesting. I like the acting, goes without saying. I think the cast is really, really good. It's interesting too because you see a lot of actors where it's like at this point in time they really weren't that like big, but of course this movie helps them get to that elevation in terms of fame. I also do think that the approach of the cinematography feels very naturalistic. It's a film that feels naturalistic, but at the same time it didn't really leave like a huge impact. But on first viewing, I did like it slightly. Again, slightly more than Terms of Endearment. Like if you asked me right now which I would watch, like rewatch right now, I would say The Big Chill more so than Terms of Endearment. So I like it slightly more, and that's why it's my number 3. Next up, my number 2, we have Tender Mercies. This is an interesting movie because if you had asked me of all the 1983 Best Picture nominees, which I was looking forward to the least, I would have said Tender Mercies. But I came out of it and I was genuinely surprised at how moving this film was. I think that it's a slice of life film that it's simple, yes, but its execution, it really does get you on board with these characters, specifically Robert Duvall's character, who, by the way, what a performance. Definitely deserved that Oscar that he won. He was terrific. It's a really well shot film. I really liked how also it was short, so it never outlived its welcome. Just a really rock solid, sturdy film. So I liked it. I think that this is one of those films that it was popular during its time, but you don't really hear that many people talk about Tender Mercies now, and I think that's a shame because it is very well crafted for sure. And yeah, that's why it's my number 2. Next up, my number 1. This is going to require some storytelling, and I'll do that for sure. My number 1, we have The Right Stuff. So this is a film that I saw some of it around like a decade ago in high school. And I remember thinking that it was okay and that I was never probably going to watch the full 3.5 hour movie. But of course, in doing this ranking video, I was like, you know what? No, I need to watch The Right Stuff. And I'm glad that I did, because although it started off slow, that second act of The Right Stuff is incredible. And I do think that the third act, although not quite as strong as that second act, is still really good. And this is a film with incredible filmmaking. The sound, the score, the cinematography, the acting. Everything about this film is really good. The only thing that I'm sure will turn some viewers off before even giving this film a chance is the length, and the fact that it does take a little bit to get going in the first act. But besides that, I would highly recommend this film. I think that it is quite good. And honestly, I know it picked up, I think it was 4 Oscars in 1983, but I am kind of surprised that it didn't win Best Picture over Terms of Endearment. Like, I am kind of shocked by that. But at the same time, from what I understand, I am sure that Terms of Endearment was a bigger box office draw. So that could also be, a reason. But The Right Stuff, if you've been sleeping on this film, I would highly recommend watching this film. It is very interesting, very engaging, and it's not your typical, biopic. It is quite good. And, yeah, that's why it's my number one. But yeah, guys, 1983 Academy Award Best Picture nominees. That's my personal ranking. Let me know your ranking in the comment section down below. Very curious to see what your ranking looks like as opposed to mine. And again, what would you have given Best Picture? Or the Terms of Endearment deserve it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, follow me down Letterboxd, and I will catch you guys later.